Hello, welcome to this video, Unit 1, Lesson 3-C, the third video in this lesson. The objective for this video is to find points of intersections between two lines or two different graphs. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, we're going to solve for where they intersect, right? Okay, and that's a solution between two graphs, like where they intersect, where they touch. That's where they're equal to each other. And then in order to find that point, once we have the x value, we're going to have to plug back in to find the y value. Okay, so let's go ahead. So solving for a point of intersection, you have two different methods. The first method that you have is you have what's called substitution. Now, if you remember back in Math 1, we solved a system of equations, right? System being more than one equation with two ways. We talked about substitution, and then we talked about a third method that's not listed here, which is called elimination. So I'm going to go over these three methods for solving, and the other one, right, being that you solve them by setting them equal to each other. But let's look at our first example. It says, without using a calculator, find all the points of intersection for the graphs x minus y equals 1 and x squared minus y equals 3. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to do method 1, which is substitution. Okay, and substitution is very easy. All you do is just replace one variable with the other equation once you've solved for that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take x minus y equals 1. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my highlighter. I'm going to take x minus y equals 1, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to solve for y. So I'll just add y over to the other side. X minus y equals 1. I'll add y to the other side and subtract 1, and we get x minus 1 is equal to y. Okay, so in order to solve, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation, okay, x squared minus y equals 3, and I'm going to substitute. So notice I've solved for y for my first equation. Now I'm going to plug it directly into this equation. So once we do that, we get x squared minus, I'm going to put parentheses, x minus 1 is equal to 3, and we're going to solve. So x squared minus x plus 1 is equal to 3, which gives us x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. So in order to solve, we'll factor. This gives us x minus 2, x plus 1, giving us solutions of 2 and -1 for x. Okay, so we found the x values. However, what we want to do now is we want to plug them into our equation and solve. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this red equation here and I'll solve. So I know that y is x minus 1. 2 minus 1, which is 1. So here's one solution, 2, 1. And I'll go ahead and I'll take -1, and y is equal to -1 minus 1, which is -2. So there's a second solution at -1, -2. Okay, and these would be your solutions. Okay, so that is substitution. The other method that is talked about here is solving for the same variable and then setting them equal to each other, right? So I've noticed I've already solved for y here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to solve for y. So I'll add y to both sides and subtract 3, and we get y is equal to x squared minus 3. Okay, and then I also know that from this equation, y is equal to x minus 1. So, hey, they're both equal to y, which means they must be equal to each other. So I can go ahead, I can set them equal to each other. So I have x squared minus 3 is equal to x minus 1. And we'll go ahead and we'll solve. So subtract x, add 1, subtract x, add 1, and we get x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, and then we go ahead and solve x minus 2, x plus 1, giving us x is equal to 2, x is equal to negative 1, giving us our solutions of 2, 1, and negative 1, negative 2. And again, how did I get these points here, which are actual points of intersection, what we want to find out? Well, again, I took my x values, right, and we plug them into our equation. All right, so let's go over now. Why isn't this? Here we go. Let's go over the third method, which maybe you remember, maybe not. Elimination. So elimination works specifically with systems, and what you want to do is you're going to take your two equations, okay, so x minus y equals 1, and I'm going to take x squared minus y equals 3, and I'm going to eliminate one variable, get rid of it. So notice how the y values here they have the same coefficient, right, and it's the same term, okay, but they have opposite, or they have the same exact sign value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by negative 1, multiply this by negative 1, and what I get is a new system right underneath it. Okay, so it's negative x plus y equals 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, go back to purple, is I'm going to add straight down. Okay, so what I get is x squared minus x, right? That's these two terms here and here. And then notice I have negative y and positive y, so those cancel. Okay, and then this is equal to, did I do something wrong here? It shouldn't be 5, negative 1. Oh, I see. I was already doing this subtraction in my head. This value is negative 1. Yeah. Okay, so when I add those, I get 2. Okay, and we get x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. And lo and behold, it will produce the same values, right? X equals 2, x equals negative 1, giving us these points of solution. Okay, so same example, just different methods, okay, of what you're doing here. Okay, so in this video, you learned how to solve for an x value for intersecting graphs, and then find that point of solution by plugging x back in. Thumbs up, subscribe. Thank you.